Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here, and this is my review of The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 13. So, this episode, it was actually pretty lighthearted. It was actually, there weren't a lot of really dark or sad or terrible moments in this episode. There were some threats. You know, there are two big threats. The first was the Highwaymen, and then the second was Beta and his little mini group of Whisperers going out to get Lydia, and then, you know, hiding behind a horde of walkers or a group of walkers, whatever. It was like a big group of walkers. Those were like the two threats in the episode. And all things considered, this was a pretty sort of light-hearted, nothing really terrible, nothing really bad happened type of episode. It honestly had some moments that were cheesy. I didn't hate them though, and I honestly really liked this episode. I really did. I think I liked this episode more than I liked last episode. And, you know, with the whole thing about it being lighthearted and cheesy, I just didn't expect that. You know, I didn't expect that, but it was, you know, that's okay. For it to subvert my expectations, that's totally okay. I still think it delivered on the points that mattered, and it was a really good episode, and that's what matters. You know, I don't want to just expect everything that happens, because that's no fun. So I'm glad that it was a little more lighthearted than I thought it would be. And I know why it is this way, because we're gonna get episode 15, which is going to be the Heads on Spikes. That's not a spoiler. It's pretty much been officially revealed, because, and they've done this for years, but what The Walking Dead does, it releases plot synopsis for episodes and summaries, plot summaries of episodes ahead of time. And in episode 16, the plot summary is after a devastating loss, their group has to deal with a blizzard. It's something like that. And I think the episode 15 is about the fair. And if you read the comics, you know that's when the Heads on Spikes happens. It's the fair. For those of you that don't know about the Heads on Spikes, basically the Whisperers kill a bunch of people. they kill a bunch of people. It's gonna happen. It's like Glenn dying in both the comic and the TV show, or the governor decapitating someone in the comic and the TV show. Some things are just destined to happen. If they happen in the comics, they're destined to happen in the show. The Heads on Spikes is one of those things. It's happening in episode 15. It's going to be a huge, devastating loss to most characters, if not all characters. It could be 12 characters to get killed, like the comics. It's 12. So, this is episode 13. This is 2 episodes before that big bloodbath, that big red redding, if you will, of an episode. They want to make it a little lighthearted. And it's not just that. I think episode 14 will be darker, because episode 14 is going to have a lot of flashbacks. I think episode 14 is going to show what caused the beef between Michonne and Maggie, if something happened to Oceanside, if someone got killed, if Eduardo got killed. Remember, we haven't seen Eduardo in a while. We haven't seen Sydney in a while, Beatrice. You know, some characters have just been straight up MIA. Maggie just went off and played around in the forest with Georgie and the twins. So we might actually get Maggie next episode. But we're going to get the flashbacks that are going to show what happened that caused the rift between Michonne and Maggie. And I think it's got to be something dark. It's got to be something big that happened. Something big happened. And I think that episode 14 is going to show us that. That's going to be a dark episode. Episode 15 is going to be the Heads on Spikes. That's going to be a dark episode. So it makes sense that this episode 13 was kind of lighthearted and had some goofy moments. Now, Beta, I like what Ryan Hurst is doing with Beta. I really liked him in the first few minutes of the episode when he's saying, you know, I think he says, we're either going to bring Lydia back or Lydia's going to die, or we're either going to bring Lydia back or we're going to kill Lydia. Something to that effect, but he's really menacing. Like, he's menacing. I kind of wish he didn't get his ass kicked so much in this episode. Like, I get it. I get what they were going for, but, man, like, when you have a new major villain, you gotta have the new major villain do some shit to the good guys, you know? And in this episode, we kind of just had Daryl throwing Beta around like a rag doll. Beta's, like, what? Like, almost twice Daryl's size, and he's tall and everything? Like, I knew that Daryl was gonna get out of it, But man, Beta got his ass kicked a little bit much. Like I said, I get what they were going for, but yeah, I would have tweaked it at least a little bit, made Beta just a little bit more stronger. I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. I mean, I don't want Daryl to like lose an arm or something, or get a big scar on his face or something. Well, a big scar would be kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, Daryl's got enough scars. Like, his entire back is like practically nothing but scar tissue. It's like scar tissue and not actual tissue, not actual flesh. So maybe Daryl doesn't need more scars or more disfigurements or anything. So I guess him sort of being able to handle Beta really easily was it's okay. But I do like Ryan Hurst as Beta. I love Ryan Hurst, and I'm happy that he got the role as Beta. But like when he talks and everything, I like him. I think he's menacing. Beta has been the scariest when he talks. When he's fighting, he kind of just like he kind of just gets his ass kicked a little bit. And I get it. Beta is probably going to be involved in the heads on spikes. I mean, Beta's going to be the one to probably kill some of the characters. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he would volunteer for that. So maybe Beta gets his. You know, it's sort of like Negan. Negan got fucked with a little bit. He lost his entire command post, his entire facility, one of his facilities, and then he got payback and killed Glenn and Abraham. So there's still time for Beta to do something bad that hurts the good guys, that leaves an impression and makes the audience take Beta seriously as a new threat, not just Alpha. I want Beta to be taken seriously. I get that Alpha's the main villain, but I want Beta to be taken seriously. But still, I like this episode, and I like the fight between Daryl and Beta. So I guess Beta doesn't take Daryl's knives, because if you read the comics, you know that Beta's signature weapon is two knives, but they both had two knives. They both fought each other with two knives, and I thought, well, maybe Daryl's knives are bigger than Beta's, and Beta takes Daryl's, but they weren't bigger than Beta's, I don't think. And he definitely did not take Daryl's knives, because Daryl won the shit out of that fight. Daryl like pushed Beta off a balcony or whatever. But yeah. So I mean, I guess Daryl and Beta have two knives. That's okay. But yeah. And yeah, I did like Daryl in this episode. I really liked Daryl in this episode. I liked when he's fighting Beta. When he pushes Beta, like he stabs Beta in the shoulder with like a little tiny knife, and Beta just like growls and rips it out and throws it to the floor. And then Daryl pushes Beta off the balcony and thinks he's dead. And he spits down the balcony, and then he like angrily walks up to the knife on the floor and picks it up angrily and angrily walks off. I was like, that's funny. That was unexpectedly funny. I didn't expect that the fight scene to have a lot of funny moments in it, but it had a couple. Lydia and Henry, I like the dynamic between them. I know a lot of people don't like Henry right now, but I like Henry. I like Henry. Some people are just saying he just constantly puffs up his lips. Puffs up his lips. Yeah, perks up his lips, whatever. But I think that's just like his facial structure. I mean, his sister, Madison Lynch, she has the same thing with her lips. I think it's just like a genetic thing in his family's facial structure. So, I don't think he's doing it on purpose. And I honestly think he's a good actor. I like his voice and his lines. I think he's really bringing more to it than Chandler Riggs did to his lines. I think Matt Lentz, Henry's actor, is a better actor than Chandler Riggs. So I like Henry more than Carl. I'm sorry, I'm on Team Henry. I like Henry. So I think Henry. I hope Henry makes it through like the next few seasons. I mean, I do hope he is Comic Carl. So I like Henry. Sorry if you gotta like curse at me and get mad and unsubscribe. I don't know what to tell you. I like Henry. Yeah, it's fine if you don't like Henry. There is this thing called, respecting someone else's opinion. You don't have to fly off the handle and get mad just because someone likes a character you like. Now, me personally, I think that's a petty thing to fly off the handle about. But hey, I mean, we're all different, But yeah, I like Henry. I love Lydia. I love Cassidy McClincy's performance as Lydia. She just brings so much subtlety, and she has all these subtle facial expressions, and she had one little moment that I loved where Daryl's like, is Beta their best, and he's like, good, we'll kill him first, and Lydia's like, what? Like, she does this little tiny, like, blink and you miss it thing with her face that I just love. Like she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Beta's gonna kill you. Like, you're underestimating him. Like, she doesn't say it. She just does this little thing with her face. And I think she's just fantastic. And I love Connie. I loved Connie in this episode. I loved Connie. I loved it when Daryl and Connie were communicating by writing each other. They're arguing about Lydia, and Daryl doesn't want Lydia to go back to one of the communities, and he says if we and there's this one part where Daryl's like he's grabbing one of the papers and to write to Connie, and Connie like holds out the pen or the marker or whatever, and Daryl wasn't even paying attention. She's like holding it out for him because he needs it to write with, and he wasn't even paying attention. Like, that was really funny. Like, Daryl's so busy trying to get a paper and kind of just like holds out the pen. And then when Daryl writes, if we take Lydia back, the Whisperers will kill our friends, and Connie gets really upset, and she writes, she doesn't have friends, we do, or we have friends, she doesn't, and she angrily walks off. I love that. I love that argument. That's a really good argument. Like, it's true. I mean, characters are going to die. Now, I don't know if the Whisperers were going to kill the characters with or without them capturing Lydia. There's a chance, I mean, for all of you that are just blaming everything in the holy universe on Henry, there's a chance that the Whisperers were going to do what they're going to end up doing anyway. If the Whisperers kill 12 characters and put their heads on spikes, Lydia might have had nothing to do with it. I mean, they already killed Jesus. That wasn't Henry's fault. And Alf was talking about, we know things about them. We know how many people they have. We know this, we know that. Like she's already plotting to kill some of them. So them getting Lydia back might not have mattered. What Henry did might not have mattered. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I think there's a chance that if characters die, it's not necessarily because they got Lydia back. So, I understand Daryl's argument, but I also understand Connie's argument. Like, it's like, can we not completely and utterly screw this teenage girl over? Like, she doesn't have friends. She's with a mother that physically abuses her. That she's raised to act like an animal. I think that's kind of worth fighting for. I don't want anyone to die, but it's a tricky thing. I don't think it's an easy thing to just be like, oh, she should just stay with them and continue to get beat by her mother. Fuck her, like, I don't want to risk my people's lives. I think there's a little bit more to it than that, and I completely understand where Connie's coming from. And I still think Daryl and Connie are going to happen. I still think Daryl and Connie are going to get together. I called it. I think it's going to happen. I do. I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I just think there's signs that they're going to get together. I'm not much of a shipper, but I'm telling you, I have a feeling Daryl and Connie, they're going to happen. Maybe it's not until season 10 where they kiss or whatever, but it's going to happen. In my opinion. Now, I could be wrong, but I got a feeling Daryl and Connie are going to end up having a romance. So, what else? Okay, so the Highwaymen. I made a video about my theories on the Highwaymen. Now, I did not expect them to turn into good guys, which is basically what happened. They basically turn into good guys. So we finally know who that one guy is with the cowboy hat. That guy was in the teaser like months ago, back in the trailer. I think it was the trailer for the back half of season 9. After episode 8 where Jesus died, there was like a trailer for the whole back half to kind of like give us something during the 2-month break in between halves. And I think that guy, that cowboy looking guy with the beard and the hat, he and Jerry were like looking at each other, and I thought, well, maybe that's during the fair, and that's one of the Whisperers sneaking in and pretending to be like a normal person and trying to blend in. And Jerry kind of notices, but he doesn't really do anything about it. But no, it's not. It's just that Jerry's mad at the guy because he doesn't really like the guy. He took his sword, so Jerry's pissed off. Yeah, and I love that. I love that whole thing. I was saying about the Highwaymen, it seemed like it wasn't the right time to bring in a new group of villains with the Whisperers. We didn't need another group of villains. The Whisperers were more than enough for the season. We didn't need another like little mini group of antagonists. And I was right. We didn't. They're not antagonists. They've turned into protagonists. They've turned into good guys. So I love that scene where Carol's like, "Have you guys ever? When's the last time you guys have seen a movie?" That was funny as hell. I love that whole scene. It's crazy to me that Ezekiel is the one that wants to just kill them, and Carol is the one that's like, well, let's try to find another way and give them a chance to live. I mean, can you believe that? If this was back in season 7, I think Ezekiel would have been the one that would have wanted to let them live, and Carol would have been the one that would have wanted to just shoot first and ask questions later. But no, it's Carol wanted to try to find a peaceful middle ground. And I loved Jerry whispering to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel's like, "Oh, and Jerry really wants his sword back." I love Jerry. Everything with Jerry is just the funniest shit. But yeah, this was a really good episode. This was a really, really good, really entertaining episode. It had a lot of, unexpectedly kind of funny moments, and I loved how at the end of the episode, Daryl repeats what Henry had said to Lydia earlier about, it's a whole world out there. You don't have to be with the Whisperers. So I think Daryl is coming around, and he's sympathetic to Lydia, and he wants to look after Lydia and look out for Lydia in the same way that he wants to look out for Henry. Plus, Lydia, she's becoming more of her own person, more of a good guy. She breaks out of that closet, and I think she fights one of the Whisperers, and she saves Henry. So yeah, I'm loving that. Daryl, Connie, and Henry and Lydia, like, they're all getting character development, and they're starting to accept Lydia as one of their own. Because I feel sorry for Lydia. Like, she's had it rough. She's been abused literally her entire life. Don't forget about Alpha saying that she punched her hard in the face when she was 3 years old. That is child abuse. Lydia has had a rough life, not just after the apocalypse, before the apocalypse. So I'm glad that she's got a potential family here, and I'm glad that she's finally got characters that are looking out for her. No, I don't want her to just stay with the Whisperers. Sorry. I feel bad for her. I don't know what you want me to say, but yeah. I really enjoyed this episode. It had a lot of, it was a little bit more cheesy and goofy than I thought it was going to be. But that's because, like I said, I think the next 2-3 episodes are going to be extremely dark. It's just like Season 6. In Season 6, the last episode, the whole thing with Negan, that's really dark. So what do we get a few episodes before that episode? We get an entire episode dedicated to comedy. Dedicated to just funny shit, because it's Daryl and Rick going on like a road trip, and then they get attacked by Jesus, and they chase after Jesus, and Jesus fights them. And the entire episode's funny. And the only reason it's like that is because there's going to be some really, really heavy, dark shit coming up a little bit after that with Negan and Negan's introduction and who Negan ends up killing and everything. And I think it's the same thing here. I think this episode was a little funny and goofy and lighthearted because episode 14 is going to have all the flashbacks, probably all the flashbacks revealing what happened with Michonne, and maybe even the X-Scars and if someone died or not. And then episode 15 is going to be when a bunch of characters die. And then episode 16 is going to be the fallout of that and the characters dealing with that. So yeah, we've got some dark episodes ahead, so I'm glad this episode had some funny moments. Also, poor Beta, I think he lost some teeth. Like, he was already struggling to talk. Man. But yeah, this was a really good episode. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. So with all that said, don't be shy. Hit that like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I make 1 to 2 Walking Dead videos per day. So please hit that subscribe button. Right now we are at 420 subscribers. My goal is to try to get to 500 in the next few months. So just remember, every subscriber counts. Every bit of support matters and is very, very appreciated. Hopefully we can get to that goal of 500. Anyway, with all that said, I am Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Bye!